What we're doing today is feeding the bees. So why are we feeding the bees? What we're doing, this is the end of June in Central Florida. And if you've ever been around here and this time of year, it's hot. It's turned off really hot for us. We're in the upper 90s here. We've been running 96, 97 last couple of days. The weeks have been just getting hotter and hotter. And what happens is that the plants here stop blooming. It's just too hot for them. So what ends up happening then, the nectar source that comes from the flower, it becomes a short supply. And what ended up happening for us was that we took our honey off earlier, the palmetto and some wildflower off, and so now they're running short on food. So what we'll do now through the month of July and the month of August is that we make some food for them. It's honey and water, a combination, a dilution rate of honey into a certain percentage of water, and then we feed it back. If you look back on these hives here, you can see that they have jars on top of them. And what we'll do, we'll go back and put the feed into the jar, which has little holes in it, and I'll show you that later. And you can see just kind of a little drip in there. The bees will be up there feeding on it, and they can keep it and dry it down. They can immediately consume it if they're really short, but they can put it in their wax cells and save it for later on. They'll also try and dry it down for storage for later on also. So what do we feed the bees? Well, what we feed our bees is the honey that we take from them. We have some left over from last year. We call it feeder honey. And we'll use that, like I say, in a water. It doesn't have to be terribly sweet, but we'll do about 1/3 of a bucket of honey with 2/3 of the bucket in water and stir it up warm to where the honey dilutes and mixes in good. And you'll see the water will be not clear water, but it'll kind of be a light brownish color. That's the honey that's mixed in with it. And the point of that is so that we don't get the queen to stop laying, because once they sense that there's no food coming in, she's laying this time of year, or was laying at this time of year, up to about 1,000 eggs a day. And so now she senses, or the hive senses, that the food source is not available. So they do a thing, what we call self-regulating. She will start to reduce down the number of eggs she lays a day, down to about, I'm going to say 100 to 200 a day. So when you think about it, you go from 1,000 a day laying down to a couple of hundred a day. That the hive dwindles in size pretty quickly. When you consider the hive, the bees live this time of year about 35 to 45 days, give or take 10 days or so. So the whole point of this is so that we don't lose our workforce. Our workforce is the older bee. It is I call them the senior citizen bee. That's the scout bee that goes out and finds new nectar source. And then the job before that one is the foraging bee. They're the ones that go out and haul and bring in the nectar and do all the outside work of the hive. So when you lose those, you really lose a large capacity of survival for the hive, because everybody that stays inside the hive has jobs to do, but bringing in new food is not one of them. So you're going to get a chance to look at this, and we'll show you some hives that are weak, that need to be fed. And wanted to make sure that we said that we use the bees' own honey in doing this. Sometimes when we're running out, we may use cane sugar, but we never use corn syrup in there. That has a whole set of issues with it, and just wanted to let you know that it's never used in our hives, so we never can be accused that we have adulterated honey. But anyway, we're fixing to we're going to suit up, and we'll let you look in the hives. As you can see, we've put the honey and water mixture feeder in the jars, and we've fed all the jars. We put them in on top of the hives like this, and wanted to show you what one looked like. All it really is a jar. People use different kinds of containers. We use a jar, and we have a little hole popped in it, and it kind of drips like that out of there, and the bees will come up in there and gather the honey and put it back down in the hive. They'll either dry it down or they'll consume it immediately. And the reason why you do this is because you don't want the queen to stop laying. Well, I've gotten a hive here that you can see where I've waited too long in doing that. And so the numbers in the hive have greatly reduced in the hive. And so I wanted to show you what that looks like. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a hive apart for you, where you can see what it looks like. Like I say, this one is in trouble, and we would give this one, we rate our hives on a scale of 1 to 9. We do it in 1 to 9 because we look through each one of the frames, and if we can't see through the frame, we call that a 1. So every one that we can't see through, we'll call it, say there's 4 frames we can't in between that we can't see through, we call that a 4. If it's really a full busy hive, it can be all the way up to a 9 on here. But this one here is really just a 2 or a 3. And I'm going to show you why. Because the numbers have fallen down so hard. So I've got a motivator. As you can see, there's not a lot of bees on that. And I don't know how well you can see on that. There's no egg or brood of any kind, larva, capped, or anything on there. So we're trying to motivate her by telling her or showing her that there's lots of food out there, which we're going to put on for her. See if we can find the queen on here for you. You can see there's some capped brood. This is what's left on this side for her, and she's not laying on that side. Here's some more capped brood. I found the queen earlier on this one. That's why I'm using this hive. So I know they have a queen in there. She's just not motivated. There's a little bit of egg right in here, and we're going to do some things to motivate her to make sure that all is well in here. So as you can see, right here is the queen that we found her, and so she's good. She's laying, and all we're trying to do is just stimulate her to get her to start laying up large quantity of eggs, so that we can get this hive strength back up. And so what we're doing, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to feed it with the honey water. Also use a product called DFM that we'll put in there. I'll sprinkle a little spoonful in here. I'll show you a picture of that later. And that is not antibiotic, but a probiotic. One of the things I think the industry is going in, and this promotes health within the bee itself. And then just to make sure that we're not fighting a mite issue, we're going to put a strip in there also. So this has sugar, which gets the bees to want to take it up into them, and the other has the probiotic in there. And the idea of it is you want to try to get it in the core of the bees, and then in turn the nurse bees in particular, and they'll pass that on to the newborns as they go along. But this really helps to promote good health. It's a new direction that I think the bee industry is going in. And then really all we'll do now is move that there, set that on top. And then we'll take the feeder jar. As you can see, it's dripping out ever so slowly. That keeps it from just pouring out inside the hive. They'll come up and gather it, and I'll record my information on top of the hive, and that's how we feed our hives.